Today we will understand how DNA evidence is used in court to determine biological parentage. This lecture focuses on three key questions that lawyers must understand: how DNA is inherited, how scientists determine whether a person can be excluded as a parent, and how statistics convert DNA matches into legal probabilities that courts can interpret under the rule on DNA evidence. DNA parentage testing appears in many legal contexts. Courts rely on it in child support cases to determine paternal responsibility, in inheritance disputes, when biological relationships affect succession rights, in birth certificate correction cases, when parentage is challenged, and in immigration petitions where family relationships must be verified. Because of these legal consequences, lawyers must understand the basic logic behind DNA testing. DNA is inherited from both parents. At each location in the DNA sequence, called a locus, every person has two values called alleles. One allele comes from the mother and the other from the father. Because of this rule of inheritance, when we examine a child's DNA profile, we can identify which allele came from the mother and which must have come from the biological father. This simple inheritance rule is the foundation of parentage testing. Parentage testing relies on regions of DNA called short tandem repeats, or STRs. These are short sequences of DNA that repeat multiple times. Different people have different numbers of repeats at the same location. Because of this, repeat counts vary widely across individuals. STR markers allow forensic scientists to distinguish one person's DNA profile from another. In DNA profiles, alleles are represented as numbers. These numbers indicate how many repeat units exist at a specific STR location. For example, if a child's DNA profile shows 5 and 6 at a locus, it means one allele was inherited from the mother and the other from the father. The key idea is that every allele in the child must come from one biological parent. In DNA statistics, we must know how common each allele is in a population. This is called allele frequency. If an allele has a frequency of 0.2, it means roughly 20% of the population carries that allele. Thus, 20% of persons in a population carries allele 5. The rarer an allele is, the stronger the evidence when that allele appears in a parent-child match. For example, only 1% of people in a population carry allele 6 at the same STR locus D7S820 in chromosome 7. To identify the father's contribution, we apply the obligate allele rule. If the child has alleles 5 and 6 and the mother has 5 and 17, the mother can only contribute the allele 5. The remaining allele 6 must therefore come from the biological father. This allele is called the obligate paternal allele. We then check whether the alleged father carries this allele. Just by way of an example of a paternity test, after baby Sophia was born, Angela named Michael as the father on the birth certificate. Months later, another man, Anthony, came forward claiming he had also been involved with Angela during the period of conception. Anthony requested a DNA paternity test, arguing that the child may actually be his. Michael refuses to relinquish paternal status unless genetic testing proves otherwise. In this table, we applied the obligate allele rule to interpret the DNA profile. First, we compare the child's DNA with the mother's DNA to identify the allele that the mother could not have contributed. That allele must come from the biological father and is called the obligate paternal allele. Next, we check whether each alleged father carries that allele. Michael carries the obligate paternal allele at all three loci, so he cannot be excluded as the biological father. Anthony, however, carries the obligate allele only at the VWA locus, but he does not carry the required alleles at the other loci, such as D3S1358 and FGA. Because DNA parentage testing examines multiple loci, these mismatches exclude him as the biological father. Therefore, Michael remains the only possible father in this comparison. Once exclusion has been ruled out, scientists measure the strength of the DNA match using the paternity index. The paternity index compares two possibilities: that the tested man is the father or that a random man is the father. The formula is 1 divided by the allele frequency. If the allele occurs in 10% of the population, the paternity index equals 10. In this table, the allele frequencies in the population of the STR markers D3S1358, VWA, and FGA are shown. If you divide 1 by these allele frequencies, the quotient is the paternity index. Observe that the lower the allele frequency, the higher is the paternity index, and the higher is the probability that a putative father is the biological father of the child. DNA tests examine many loci. To measure the total strength of evidence, the paternity index values are multiplied together to produce the combined paternity index. Because courts understand probabilities better than ratios, the CPI is converted into the probability of paternity. The formula combined paternity index divided by combined paternity index plus 1 comes from Bayes' theorem. In this example, the probability of paternity is about 99.99998%, which under the Philippine rule on DNA evidence creates a disputable presumption of paternity. Now let's look at the maternity test. An example of a case would be at St. Gabriel Medical Center in Quezon City. Two women, Maria Santos and Ana Delgado, gave birth to female infants within about 1 hour of each other on the same evening. After delivery, both newborns were briefly placed in the hospital nursery for routine observation. The following morning, Maria expressed concern that the baby brought to her room might not be the child she delivered. Upon reviewing the records, hospital staff discovered that the nursery log entries during a shift change were incomplete, making it impossible to confirm whether the infants had been correctly returned to their mothers. Ana Delgado also claimed that the infant currently in Maria's custody was actually her child. Because the hospital could not determine the identity of the biological mother from the records alone, both women asserted competing claims over infant X. To resolve the dispute, the court ordered a DNA maternity test involving infant X, Maria Santos, and Ana Delgado. Now, the legal issue is which of the two women is the biological mother of infant X. The maternity DNA test will compare the child's DNA profile with the DNA profiles of both women to determine which woman's genetic markers match those of the child, and whether the other can be genetically excluded as the biological mother. The same logic applies in maternity testing. Instead of identifying the obligate paternal allele, we identify the obligate maternal allele after accounting for the father's contribution. If the tested woman carries the obligate maternal alleles across multiple loci, she cannot be excluded, and statistical calculations can confirm maternity. In this table, uh, you will note that the allele frequency here is counted based on the loci. So for example, in locus D3S1358, the allele frequency is 0.05 or 5% with a maternity index of 20. Now in locus VWA, the allele frequency is 0.004 or 0.4%, which converted to maternity index is 250. In locus FGA, the allele frequency is 0.0012 or 0.12%, and when converted to maternity index is 833.33. Now, in order to get the combined maternity index, you just multiply 20 times 250 times 833.33. So this gives us a product of 4 million plus. No? Now, in order to determine the probability of maternity, we will just divide this product by the same number of this product plus 1. And here, if we do that, we will get a quotient of 0.9999976, which when we convert it to percentage is 99.999976%. So this percentage in legal translation means that Anna is the probable or has the disputable presumption of being the mother of infant X. To summarize, DNA parentage testing works in 3 stages. First, inheritance rules allow scientists to exclude individuals who cannot be biological parents. Second, statistical measures such as paternity index quantify the strength of the genetic match. Third, the combined paternity or maternity index is converted into a probability that courts can interpret under the rule on DNA evidence. This is the end of the presentation.